Hi, welcome to this quick review of the RFQ listing page. So looking at the RFQ listing page, what we have in this first section here is the unique and overview information about each of the different quotes that you all have received. So if you look at the first couple columns, you're seeing the project that that quote is associated with, as well as the article number that's being quoted. In this database, we use both the project number and article number to give a special identifier to each quote. This builds on top of each other, so the first quote for that project and article number will receive a number 1 at the end. The second quote associated with that same information will receive a 2 at the end, and so on. Next to that, you can see the brief description, which is associated with that article number, as well as the vendor who produced the quote. Next, then you can see the status / type. The / type you can use to keep track of what the status is with that RFQ. There's 3 different options: purchased, new, and in-house. Whenever a new quote comes into the system, it should start out as a new form. Looking at the RFQ date, this pulls in the date from your RFQ form when it was sourced, and we use this information to be able to track RFQs over time. The original RFQ price, this is also pulled from the RFQ form, as well as the drawing number and the expected annual units for the year 2021. Monthly usage just takes that expected annual units and divides it by 12 to have an estimated monthly usage number. Then next up, we have the 2 cost reduction columns. These are both manually inputted by you all. So as you go through reducing this original RFQ price, you can put in the new numbers here, as well as the status of where the cost reduction is, to be able to see how that original pricing is changing over time. Then we have a total change column that shows the dollar amount and the percentage amount of change from the original price to the cost reduction statuses. The minimum buy quantity takes into account the amount that's being purchased from the vendor and their minimum amount that they require to be purchased. This is also pulled directly from the RFQ form. The piece section, this is mainly inputted by you all, and this allows us to see over time how much you're sourcing from each type of category and subcategory. There's a listing down here that you can click on. So for example, if this quote was a perforated material, you can click on that and it'll list it out here. Material type, this is also pulled from that information. This is where you can list different information about like the type of material you're sourcing from the vendor. Same thing with gauge and thickness. Those 3 items are all manually inputted. Looking towards this next section, this is all information that's pulled directly from the RFQ form that your vendors will fill out. There is an automation that runs in the back of this sheet that will pull all that information automatically and put it in. So for example, we have sheet size, the weight of the sheet, the quantity per sheet. Then all of this is used in these calculations that are manually inputted into the system, where it will take this information provided by the vendor and then produce information such as what's the cost gross weight per part and the scrap value per part, so you can get a fuller picture of the entire quote. Then the next couple sections, you have any additional work and miscellaneous costs that are associated with that RFQ form. This is also taken directly from the RFQ form, so you won't have to put any information in here. The machine costs, this column is calculated by taking the total machine cost divided by the parts production to understand per piece how much a machine cost is associated with it. And then finally, the last column is comments. This is where you can put in additional notes that you have associated with the system or with the RFQ. So for example, if you have a concern about a quote or a specific piece that goes into your RFQ making decisions, you can put that information there. This form ties directly to the sourcing comparison tool, which we'll talk about later in another video, as well as the category summary page. Finally, when you're inputting new RFQs, this is the section where you can both input and delete RFQs to keep the system up to date. Please see the other videos for specific instructions how to do this, but thank you for watching.